Rick had left me to cut out a bunch of material. So I was dadoing an upper end on a cabinet. It's a 5/8 dado blade. I bound the material against the fence and it shot back at me and my hand went right into the blade.
I wasn't there when the accident happened. I got a call. I went back to the shop. It was horrible. I was just seeing the mess. Where I went looking, hoping to find some fingers, and all I found was what looked like hamburger.
A table saw injury tends to involve multiple fingers. Usually it starts at the base of the small finger and then travels out towards the thumb, getting higher as the saw passes over the fingers. The first thing I think when I see an injury like this is which of these fingers I can save and replace which are not going to be salvageable.
60,000 table saw accidents a year, one every 9 minutes. Somebody's going to get a finger or hand injury. Do the math. It's a question of when, not if.
4 hours per finger to reattach, 3 fingers, 12 hours.
If you could own a saw that could prevent this, why wouldn't you?
My hand goes in the blade, and the worst thought is, your fingers are gone. And you're just thinking, I can't believe I just did that.
I think most people would be surprised to know that most of the injuries with amputations are not amateurs, but these are professional men that use table saws every day.
The more experienced you become, the more you're a candidate for an accident.
After an amputation injury, it's not just healing the wounds, but it's a long period of therapy, multiple operations, pain medicine over years, and all this ends up to be very expensive.
Our premiums just about tripled after the accident, which took us into a point that just about broke us.
We're seeing an average of about $9,000 to $10,000 a claim for table saw injuries. Some of those are much more severe and get into the tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the severity of the injury. When you can eliminate those costs from coming in, you're affecting your experience rating modification, which affects your premium cost, and you're making yourself more insurable.
Just about every week I see injuries that involve amputated fingers. It might be a couple fingers, 3 fingers, but I see amputated fingers all the time.
We designed this saw to be the safest table saw ever built. I think of it like seat belts or an airbag for table saws. The mechanism is very sophisticated, but the technology behind it's actually quite simple. The blade carries a small electrical charge. This charge is continuously monitored by a digital signal processor. When contact is made, the human body absorbs some of the charge, causing the voltage to drop. The drop in voltage triggers a quick-release aluminum brake. A heavy-duty spring forces the brake into the teeth of the spinning blade. The teeth dig into the aluminum, stopping the blade cold. The blade's momentum forces it to retract below the table, and the motor is automatically shut off. All of that happens in less than 5/1000ths of a second. That's 10 times faster than a car's airbag, all without damaging the saw. If the brake is activated, it takes less than 5 minutes to replace the brake assembly. Just slip in the cartridge, put a new blade on, and you're back in business.
One of my employees walked up to me in the shop and said, "The saw works," and he raised his hand up.
At the average speed that someone pushes wood through a saw, by the time you feel the saw touch your fingers, there's not time to flinch and pull your hand away before your fingers are amputated.
And there was a nick on his finger that basically I've seen slivers that caused more blood, and I looked over at the saw and there was no blade showing from the surface of the saw.
The SawStop drops out of the way and prevents that injury.
And that's when he realized the saw worked.
It's not just about the safety. When we were designing this saw, our goal was to make it cut wood better than any other saw you could buy. And that's what we did.
It's just an excellent piece of equipment to have in the shop.
It's the choice between a wound you can treat with a Band-Aid or hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical expenses.
Now we've gone over and beyond the OSHA regulations of guarding to help prevent an employee from having an injury.
You lower your frequency of injury, you lower your cost of claims, you're going to lower your insurance premium.
Feel like I can leave the shop and not have to worry that somebody's going to be able to get their hand in there and lose some fingers.
If I'd have been using a SawStop that day the accident happened, I can't imagine how life would be different.